Well, Property Tribes was very pleased recently to launch a new tribe, the Auction Tribe, and I'm delighted to welcome the company that has agreed to power the discussions in that tribe, and that is Bamboo Auctions. And I'm joined by Robin Rathore, the founder and managing director. So welcome to Property Tribes, Robin.
Thank you very much.
Now, really interesting what you've got. Nick and I have always been big advocates of tech, and you've basically created an online auction platform. Now tell us a little bit about the history of Bamboo Auctions and what your objectives were.
Yeah, well, Bamboo Auctions really came about from a personal experience. I was trying to buy a property, had to draw down my mortgage before a property I was looking for exchanged. It was very frustrating, so I decided to go to auctions to have a look and see what was out there. And really the idea came about because I was looking for a place where I could actually search for a property and bid and purchase that property online, much as you would with eBay, for example, and there wasn't anything there for me to do. So that's where the idea came about, and obviously sort of a year down the line or 18 months down the line, here we are, and we're working with auction houses up and down the country.
Now, why this is of interest to Property Tribes members is kind of twofold, really, isn't it? Because not only could they buy properties through the actual platform, they could also consider selling properties through the platform. So talk us through that.
Yeah, well, I mean, so everything that we do as a business is sort of predicated on two fundamental goals. The first is that we're creating an online auction or an online marketplace where property transactions are fast, certain, and excellent value for money. And secondly, we want to encourage the use of auctions and increase the market share enjoyed by the auction sector as a whole by encouraging new vendors to sell their properties by auction. So a seller has ultimate flexibility and control over how they sell their properties, and they just need to get in touch with us, and we recommend and pass them to auction houses that we work with across the country. Buyers, on the other hand, can search for a property on our site, they can download the legal documents, they can arrange to view properties, and then when they're ready, and really from whenever it's convenient for them, from the comfort of their own home, they can place a bid on a property. An exchange will occur online immediately at the end of a specified time period.
So it kind of streamlines the whole process, really, doesn't it? Now, playing devil's advocate, why should I, as a property investor, consider the online auction route rather than just going out to my local auction?
That's a fair question. I think if you're a seller, there's an added advantage to selling online, and that is you have greater flexibility over when you sell your property. So rather than waiting for, next month or 2 months' time for your local auction house's room auction, you can actually have the flexibility to sell your property today, for example, online. And you also retain control over that process. So you can see the bids that come on, and you can see it happening online, and you don't need to attend a specific room. Now, if you're a buyer, you have the added sort of convenience factor. So there's extra transparency in the process, because you can see previous bids that are on the actual site for a particular property. But you also have the added sort of convenience of being able to place a bid whenever you want, whenever you're comfortable, and you have that sort of reassurance that when a bid is placed that it's been accepted.
Fantastic. Now, also, I mean, clearly landlords and property investors, they search in many different areas and have different strategies for finding deals, but one of the things that we talked about when we were meeting earlier, Robin, is the fact that there actually may be opportunities to find more discounted properties via the online auction platform, because they may come on under certain circumstances that would warrant them being considered perhaps as a discount. So could you give some examples of those sort of properties?
Yeah, sure. So for a start, some of the ways that some of our auction house customers are using the platform is to consolidate unsold lots. So you might find that properties that hadn't been sold for whatever reason in the room might then be consolidated and put online and sold under online auction conditions. So you may find a bargain on that front. But also, if you're a seller and you want to sell your property quickly, Well, rather than going to a quick buy company, you can sell your property by an online auction with more immediacy. And for a buyer, that's a great thing because you have a motivated seller and a buyer willing to purchase. And so you could purchase something tomorrow or next week rather than having to wait for an auction.
Because as you mentioned earlier, one of the sort of advantages is you can actually, a bit like eBay, you can set the time, the length that the auction's going to run, can't you?
Yes, so a seller must go through an auction house to do this, but they do have control over when their property ends. So if a seller would like a property to end, let's say, on the 20th of August at 5 o'clock, they can do that. They have the control to be able to ask the auction house to say, I want my property to be sold by that date, and the auction house can then arrange that. So there is that greater control and flexibility for the seller.
Fantastic. So I guess what we're saying then, Robin, is that if somebody is selling a property, they can contact you and you will give them your recommended auction house to go through.
Yep.
If they're buying a property, they can click on the link on Property Tribes, which we'll provide, and they can go and search on residential, commercial, by area, by price, etc. So much like using a normal portal, but just searching on the auction listings.
That's exactly right. So where in the past and today you can search for your property online, through Bamboo Auctions you can search for your property, but you can also purchase your property online. So you can sort of end the journey, as you were, through the same platform.
Fantastic. Well, it's really great to have you on board. Thank you very much for your support of Property Tribes. And as we always say, it's the support of our sponsors that help maintain Property Tribes as a free-to-use community resource. So if you've got value from Property Tribes, one of the things that you can do is check out the offerings of our sponsors and partners. So do go along and have a look at the Bamboo Auctions site. If you've got any questions, Robin is going to be on hand to answer them for you. And we do hope you'll give this some consideration, because I think it's the future really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can see that the more and more things are going online. You can now buy flights online, you can do your online shopping online. It makes sense that at some point in the future, now, you can purchase your property online.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Robin. Been great talking to you and great having you on board with Property Tribes.
Great. Thank you.